The security clearance showdown intensifies. The feud between President Trump and John Brennan rages on as the former CIA director says he's not political. Brennan also threatening legal action against the president to prevent others from having their clearances pulled.
I am going to do whatever I can personally to try to prevent these abuses in the future. And if it means going to court, I will do that. I have seen the lights blinking red in terms of what Mr. Trump has done and is doing. I think I need to speak out. And so I've been speaking out rather forcefully because I believe it's important to do so. I don't believe I'm being political at all.
Trump is firing back on Twitter, slamming Brennan as a, quote, political hack. Meanwhile, some former intelligence officials are blasting the former CIA director's rhetoric and routine criticism of the president.
I think it is. I think, John is sort of like a freight train, and he's going to say what's on his mind. But John and his rhetoric have become, I think, an issue in and of itself.
He has been incredibly critical of the president, and I think that has put him in a political place, which actually does more damage for the intelligence community, which is apolitical.
Okay, so those are former officials, Brian. It tracks with what I had been hearing as well, that the intelligence community writ large wishes that John Brennan had not gone out and done all of this because they think it's hurting the overall intelligence community.
And about 60 intelligence officials at first. Now it's in the triple figures. I've come out and said I don't think he should have been stripped. That's fine. However, I just thought it was stunning, too, because I watch all the Sunday shows because I'm lonely. And I heard Chuck Todd say, listen, if you didn't say this, if you didn't say treason, if you weren't constantly attacking him, if you weren't actually attacking him, then I think that we wouldn't be at this place. But when people hear you talk, you have to understand that people look at you as a CIA director.
And listen, watch this. This is what Brian's talking about.
Do you regret essentially accusing the president of treason? Do you regret some of the things you have said?
I called his behavior treasonous, which is to betray one's trust and to aid and abet the enemy, and I stand very much by that claim.
All right, Greg, what do you think?
Well, you're watching a lot of people. The media, it's not like they're mad that this guy's hurting the intelligence community. That's not the problem. They're mad because he's helping Trump.
Yeah.
Every time he opens his mouth, Trump looks better. Right now, all of Brennan's allies are feeling like this guy is betraying them with his stupidity. Do we have that clip of Rachel Maddow? There's a great clip of Maddow saying, okay,
actually, I left it in my office. You want me to get it?
Yeah, you get it. We got a few minutes. But she basically says, you said his actions were nothing short of treasonous. And he says, yeah, but that's not treason. And she's like looking at him going like, nothing short of treason, but it's not treason. And so you're seeing Rachel Maddow, you're seeing Clapper, you're seeing CNN all kind of backing away from Brennan as though he's like that crazy pantless guy on the subway who's flinging feces at the families. But the other thing about this is, most of America doesn't care about this stuff, and I say it a lot. If America were this vast amusement park with all of these wonderful things you can do, right now the media is in the tiniest corner of that amusement park on the teacups, going around and around and around. Meanwhile, everybody else is summertime enjoying Space Mountain. This is just something.
The waterfall?
The water slides.
No, the water park.
The only reason why this story exists is because of the times we live in right now, which is that we have peace breaking out all over. We have an economic boom. We don't have enough people to fill jobs. So we have this carnival sideshow on every show because there's nothing else to talk about, which is basically a good thing, right?
Well,
it's a good thing.
It kind of revolves around Mueller a little bit, and that is real, and people should pay attention to that because even if you don't, it's going to hit you. It's going to hit all of us.
No, I was in the rural South for 10 days, so here's what I heard from everybody I talked to. Why in the hell does a professional political bloviator still have a security clearance if he's not working within the government? With more than 5 million security clearances still out there, I think a lot of these former professionals are upset that Brennan's blown up the gravy train because them carrying these security clearances outside of government, it makes them more valuable, does it not? And
it only does if you are actually working on, like, if you're like working with a defense contractor, maybe.
It makes you more. It makes you a little more.
I think it is. I think reputation-wise, yes, it probably stings a little bit. But Juan, we haven't had you weigh in yet, and it's 5 minutes in.
No, I don't think it makes you all that much valuable. I saw the president said that today. He said that it's financially to their advantage to keep it. what strikes me is that they're not backing away from Brennan. I think even when you hear people say he's like a freight train, which is what Clapper said, the guy's like a freight train in terms of his criticism, he says he opposes the revocation of the clearance.
You can believe both things.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. So I don't think it's a matter of backing away from him. I think what people are saying is, and this is the most troubling to me, is that there is now a breach between the President of the United States and the intelligence community. And so you may say, oh, well, that doesn't matter.
No, that's not good. No, I don't believe that.
No,
I don't think that's good.
I would say
this is what they're saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying, Dan. It's not me saying it. That's what they're saying.
No, and I'm saying that is not a good thing for any president.
That's not good. And so I find that alarming because I think down the road you have to have trust and norms in order to have a society, to have a government. And I think those are being eroded.
Well, yeah, I guess the administration should trust Brennan. There's no politicization going on there.
No, you don't have to trust him. You just don't have to make out an enemies list and remind us of Nixon.
He is kind of an enemy.
All right. Can I bring up one thing?
Oh, of course.
We have this list. Michael Hayden, Sally Yates, Susan Rice, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Bruce Orr. Orr's on his way out. Lisa Page, Peter Strzok have been basically fired or canned. And Sally Yates as well, and Andrew McCabe. The others, leave them alone. Use this as an opportunity to go ahead and re-examine this whole issuance of
the point Dagan was making.
And put a panel together of Gates, Mullen, and Keene, General Keene, that looks at this and gets back with the report in 6 months, and we revisit it. Wouldn't that make the world a better place?
Well, I don't know. As long as you're here, I'm not so sure.
Really? It all comes back.
It's hard to make this world a better place.
The amusement park.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Pirates of the Caribbean? Maybe.
I don't really go on that line. It's always too long.
Yeah,
the line.
No, he's imitating. He's in the Hall of the Presidents doing the.
No, he has the VIP pass.
Yeah,
he gets the VIP.
But you know what worries me is, okay, so it's kind of like during the Clinton era, which was before 9/11. You know, we were obsessed in dealing with scandals and what was going on in the Oval Office and Monica Lewinsky. So we're here dealing with all this like small ball stuff, to quote Juan Williams from his latest column, and what could be going on? What could be being planned right now that we aren't aware of because we're diverted to this stuff? We're in really a nice, calm, peace time of peace, and what's
like
ahead?
August of 2001. I mean, that's what the DNI Dan Coates said in testimony in front of Congress just 3 weeks ago, that you always have to be more creative than the terrorists and be focused on that, and it feels a little bit like that time.
Well, but this is why Trump supporters don't have a problem with the Brennan's security clearance being revoked, because again, he's under scrutiny. What was his role in opening the investigation of the Trump campaign and any relationship with Russia? What was his role in using partisan-funded research paid for by the Clintons to get a surveillance warrant on an American citizen? He's been very critical, Brennan, of the House Intelligence Committee work. Why is that? President Trump has an option. The Wall Street Journal editorial page wrote about it last week, is just open the box and let everybody see all of the intelligence. Let's find out what Brennan's role was.
But Dagan, that's not... Yeah, that's what the Journal said to pick up on. But Dagan, what the president did had nothing to do with anything you just cited. He just said, this guy is reckless. I think, what did the language you used? Erratic. But the real point is, and I think that's why you've seen such unanimous response from the intelligence community, is that this is about punishing a critic.
The reason was spurious, but the end result was right.
That's what Andy McCarthy wrote. He said...
I stole that from him.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You used the word spurious, and he didn't. And I have to say, that is an actual
And we're going to find out later, according to Greg Gutfeld, if Andy had an option to use that word, does he even know what it meant? So we'll find out.
He said, revoking Brennan's security clearance, the right thing, even if for the wrong reason. That was it.
I like spurs.